I thank the chairman for both his confidence and his leadership of our committee. And I also want to thank Bobby Scott, the chairman of the crime subcommittee. You know, we're really here for three reasons. We're here because the C.O.P.S program has been a singular success. It has been a success because we identified in the 1990s that crime was not a program that only localities could get a handle on, that we had a federal role. It is a success because it was a singularly democratic with a small d program, in that small towns, big cities throughout all 50 states wound up benefiting from the over 118,000 police officers that were put on the street because of this program. We know, for example, that 82% of the grants went to cities with 50,000 people or less. And while cities like mine did very well because there were more police on the beat, we know that there were a large number of very small towns that benefited. We know, as you can see, that the C.O.P.S program provided resources to all 50 states. This wasn't a political program. If you were a police department and you showed a way to get more cops on the street, the federal government wasn't going to sit back. They were going to be actively involved. And we know that it was successful. We know it because the Government Accountability Office looked at the connection between police officers and the reduction in crime and found a correlation. We know the University of Nebraska looked at a very similar thing and said, with all the varying elements that go into reducing crime, were the fact that there were over 110,000 new police on the street funded by the C.O.P.S program a correlative effect? And the answer was yes. We're also here for another reason. We're here because crime has started to creep back up. We're starting to see index crimes in cities around the country start to rise again. We've started to see, after years of decline, we're seeing it go up. And we're also here because there's even more law enforcement burden being put on localities and states than arguably any time in American history. Tom Ridge once famously said that Homeland Security starts in our hometown. And when we would talk about the cuts that were being made to Homeland Security, we were reminded that actually it's the localities that we're asking to do more and more of these things. So we're here in acknowledgement that localities need the help. Localities now have to do more than they ever had to do before, and that's why in this program, for the first time, we're funding T-COPS, cops that are going to be hired to do anti-terrorism work. But particularly the reason that we're here is the third reason, is that my colleagues on that side of the aisle eliminated the hiring component. President Bush eliminated the hiring component. This is a visual about how many police officers were hired under the C.O.P.S program from 1995 to 2005. This is what has happened under President Bush and under our Republican leadership. This many police officers. 0, 0, 0 in Virginia, 0 in South Dakota, 0 in California. The program was eliminated under my Republican friends. And as they stand up here today, and you're going to see them vote in large numbers for this program, they're going to wrap themselves around the idea that they support the C.O.P.S program, when in fact, overwhelmingly, it was quite the opposite. Let me show you the abandonment that's going on of the C.O.P.S program. This is the number of cops that were hired in 1998. Look at the decline. Look at how many were hired in 2005 and 2006. So the third reason we're here is we are taking up the gauntlet that was frankly laid down, put in a box, and sealed away by my Republican friends. They said, you know what, law enforcement is not a local job, it's a national job, we heard in committee. We heard, oh, the program hasn't worked the way it was intended. The fact of the matter is, had it not been for the Democrats taking over this body, had it not been for the chairmanship of Mr. Conyers, this program would be zeroed out this year too. You know how I know? Because we've had many years where those of us have stood up trying to change this, where we were rebuffed again and again. Now, I can't say that all of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have been like this. We've got many, including the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Keller, was an original sponsor of this. But it is stunning to me that anyone could stand up and say that they support this program after supporting this. So in conclusion, I want to thank the chairman and thank my colleagues for passing this. We're going to ask for a recorded vote, and we're going to watch the large number of folks who helped write bills to zero out the C.O.P.S program suddenly embrace the idea that we have to put cops on the street. And I welcome my friends on the other side of the aisle to the cause of providing help for local law enforcement.